Chicago, like most big cities, has its fair share of unsolved crime. And in most of these cases, somebody saw or heard something. It could be a suspicious person, a car driving away from the scene, or simply overhearing somebody talking about the case. With your help, we can put these criminals behind bars where they belong. Here in Chicago, we have too many unsolved murders. We need your help. In these cases, the police department is only as strong as the citizens that get involved. Oftentimes, all the detectives need is a tip, a start. Somebody to call in and say, I saw something. Any little information that you know can be the impetus to solve the entire case.
He's like into gymnastics because my mom was in gymnastics too, and they worked at the rec center together.
My mom was a gymnastics coach, and we were at the rec center where she taught, and we were sitting, it was me and my little brother, and we were sitting at this table. He came in with donuts. We called him the Donut Man. I had no idea who he was. I just knew he came in a cop uniform and brought us donuts.
Lots of people tell me like how good of a man he was, how much of a jokester he was. I was so young, like I only have a few memories. He'd always like joke around with people just to make us laugh. That was like my best friend.
He networked our entire house and would repair computers for people. We always had like the latest hardware and software and games and all that stuff, so he was kind of a big nerd. But
he really liked his job, so we were always in his car. Me and Devin had to share the front seat, and we'd always go get donuts on Sundays.
He worked a lot too. Like but when he was there, which was very nice too. We took a lot of family vacations. We drove everywhere. They hated taking planes, so he loved to drive. And we drove somewhere, we took a left instead of a right, and we ended up on Pikes Peak somehow. So we're like on top of this mountain, and we're trying to go home, and we were just taking pictures and videos, and he just made the best of it. We went to Disney World once, and I got really sick, and I was the only kid that got sick, and he was like, no, I'll stay back with her so you guys can all go, you can enjoy yourself. He stayed back. He was just so there and comforting. It was really nice.
Yeah, I remember we went to Disney World, Niagara Falls.
Officer Thomas Wood was a dedicated police officer, served the public, leaving behind a wife and 5 children. And we owe it to him to bring the person responsible to justice for this heinous murder.
Have you been in an accident? Have you been the victim of discrimination or had your rights violated? Have you been injured? If so, the lawyers at Hale Law would love to talk to you. We offer a free consultation. Call me, Andy Hale, 312-870-6926. 312-870-6926. I look forward to talking with you about your case.
At approximately 10:30 p.m. on October 23, 2006, Maywood police officer Thomas Wood was found shot and killed inside of his marked cruiser in 6th Avenue and Erie Street in Maywood, Illinois.
Maywood K-9 officer Thomas Wood was nearing the end of his shift. He was driving down 6th Street. As he approached Erie Street, he received a call to do a license plate check of a nearby vehicle. He pulled his car over. He started to run the license plate check, and at that point, an unknown gunman came over to the driver's side window of the squad car. Officer Wood rolled his window down to talk to somebody, and that was when the shots were fired. First responder was a retired Maywood police officer who lived about a block away. He found Officer Wood slumped over in the squad car. The passenger window was rolled down, and Officer Wood had been shot in the head and the chest. At that point, there was nobody on the scene. There was no information about who this gunman was, what they looked like, if they were walking or in a car, or any information. He later died from his injuries.
It was normally around the time he would come home, and he didn't come home, and instead we got a knock on the door. I opened the door, and it was these 2 officers. One of them I knew, and they just had tears in their eyes.
We had 2 dogs at the time, and the neighbor would always call the cops, like when they were barking. So, I see these 2 police officers show up at my door, and I'm thinking it's like, okay, it's like the dogs are barking. They're like, oh, is your mom home? So it was kind of strange, right? And that's kind of where I found out it was like something was off. They actually brought her to the hospital. I was like, okay, he's hurt, I'm sure, but I'm sure he's okay.
And then my mom just left, and then I got a phone call. She's like, stay up, stay up. I said, okay. So I stayed up and I got a phone call from her, and she was just bawling, and she told me, she's like, Tom was killed, and she was like shouting at me because she was just so in a panic.
Things were confirmed and she called us,
So then I went up and I told my older brother. I was like, I just dropped down on my knees and I was just crying. He was like, what's wrong? I was like, Tom died, he got killed, da, 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 da. And I was screaming it at him, and it was like 12 in the morning. I don't know, it freaks me out when I think about it.
I woke up the day after he died. I like went downstairs because it was like a school day. So I was gonna go eat breakfast, and I just saw my mom crying on the couch. And one of our neighbors was there and to comfort her, and she told me to go back upstairs, so I started playing the video game my dad bought me.
I remember people brought home treats and like donuts and Chinese, and I was like, this is all my dad's favorite stuff. Like, why are you bringing it? He's not home yet. Everybody came in crying and hugging us, and I didn't know what else was going on.
My mom like told us, me and my little sister, to come downstairs. Like 30 minutes later, saw everyone in the background crying, and then she like told us that my dad died, and I went crying into tears.
There was no gun, there was no suspect, there was no leads for them to pull forward with the investigation.
We want to bring the person responsible to justice for the murder of Officer Thomas Wood. During the evening hours of October 23, 2006, Maywood police officer Thomas Wood was found shot and killed in his marked police cruiser in Maywood, Illinois. At the request of the Maywood Police Department, the FBI became involved in the investigation.
I went home and I broke it to the kids. And it took a couple days when they started doing the services and the funeral, which was amazing. I mean, they really honored him very well. His funeral and his procession was absolutely beautiful. There were thousands of police officers from all over.
He was sorely missed by the Maywood Police Department. There were over 1,000 law enforcement personnel at his funeral. And he is somebody that the Maywood Police Department and community has not forgotten. And even though this happened in 2006, we're still seeking justice for Officer Wood and his family.
There was a lot of speculation to his case. There was nothing there. It was completely unsolved. Going 8.5 years of not knowing who it is difficult, because you always want to know why. Like, why did they do that to him? Why did they take him away from us?
The retired officer called 911, and it was determined later that that 911 call was only 6 minutes after Officer Wood did the license plate check. So this crime happened in that little 5-minute window. When the retired Maywood officer got to the scene and found Officer Wood slumped over in his squad car, he also saw Officer Wood's K-9, Darrow, in the back seat, who appeared normal, was just sitting in the back seat, was not barking, did not appear agitated. It led the police to believe that this happened very quickly and very suddenly, where somebody shot Officer Wood and then just ran. When the retired officer got to the scene, right after hearing the shots fired, he didn't see anybody, didn't see any offenders, didn't see anybody in the area. So we really have no information at this point to go on, and we're hoping somebody might have seen somebody fleeing the scene, heard something, rumor on the street, anything to help us try to solve this case.
Since the death of Officer Wood, the Maywood Police Department has contacted the FBI and asked for our assistance in locating the persons responsible for this crime. Despite following up on a lot of leads and many investigative nights, the FBI has not brought people to justice for this crime.
It's a constant roller coaster of emotions all the time. When I talk to my mother, she's angry, she's sad. I think for my kids, for my mom, my dad, who are still alive, for his friends and his family, that's a huge, huge closure for them. Every year is something different. They go through milestones. They go through daddy-daughter dances. They go through homecomings and proms and degrees. I've had 3 kids already. Now my 3rd one is graduating from college. They want him there, and he's not.
I miss having like a father role to, like, I'm in a bunch of extracurricular stuff, and I would like it if he was there to see how successful I am and where I've come. Like, I miss having that person there because everybody else has a dad, and I feel like an outcast.
And it's just like little things that he told me, like as I grew up, and I thought he was nuts for. It's like I'm yelling at my little siblings now for. It's like we just all took different roles. If anything, sometimes I just wish like that I could go back and ask him for a lecture about something. Like now it's like I want to ask him questions because I'm in a different part of my life now. He's not there, so it kind of sucks.
I mean, I kind of had to grow up pretty quickly, like after that happened, right? You know, if I, you know, messed up along the line somewhere, like who knows what kind of example that's gonna set for, you know, my younger siblings. So it just kind of kicked me into gear, really.
He used to be always at my games, and not seeing him there anymore. We went undefeated in conference, and he wasn't there for me to share it with him, and he wasn't there to share the moment. And then, like when I grow older, like graduate and everything, he won't be there, and it's just going to be sad and everything without him here.
So we continue to ask for the public's help in locating the person or persons responsible for the murder of Thomas Wood in October 2006. There is a reward up to $100,000 leading to the arrest of these people or person responsible for the death of Officer Thomas Wood.
Anytime we can do anything to make people aware that his case is still open and his name still needs to be there, and we can't forget that he's out there.
And we owe it to him to bring the person responsible to justice for this heinous murder.
Have you been in an accident? Have you been the victim of discrimination or had your rights violated? Have you been injured? If so, the lawyers at Hale Law would love to talk to you. We offer a free consultation. Call me, Andy Hale, 312-870-6926. 312-870-6926. I look forward to talking with you about your case.
During the evening hours of October 23, 2006, Maywood police officer Thomas Wood was found shot and killed in his marked police cruiser in Maywood, Illinois. He leaves behind a wife and 5 children. We need the public's help on this one. We need someone to telephone or email the FBI with information.
It hurts. We cry. We go home and we have to take the day off just to decompress. I know that eventually in time, something is gonna trickle. Something's gonna trigger somebody's memory, like this show.
I would most definitely want them to come forward just for the sake of, I mean, our family and even him as a person. I think he deserves that. Like, he got his life stolen from him, and
almost 9 years ago, someone walked into their household and said, "Oh, I just shot a cop," or "Oh, such and such shot a cop, and this is crazy, this is crazy." And there's a little boy on the couch who was 9 years old, and his mom was dating this guy, or it was his uncle, or it was a friend of his uncle's, and he's 9 years old. What's a 9-year-old gonna do with information like that? They can't do anything. But now this little boy is gonna be 18, and he's gonna see this show. Now he's a man, and he can speak. And he knows he's safe. And he may come up and say, you know what, 9 years ago, this is what I heard in my household. This is what happened.
It's imperative that the public telephone the FBI, provide us the information. Somebody knows who did this. Somebody knows who committed this crime against one of law enforcement's finest individuals. We need someone to come forward and give us some information.
Officer Wood was a 9-year veteran of the Maywood Police Department. He left behind a wife and 5 children. And we're urging anybody in the community who has information, please come forward with any kind of tips, any kind of knowledge, and help us solve this case.
it's not fair that he was such a good person and did everything for everybody. Anyone you run into, it's like such good stories, and it's like, how could somebody do that to such a good person? And it's just not fair.
I would just like to know why. You know, it's there's a lot of missing pieces to the puzzle. We don't know. It could have been out of anger. You know, if it was out of anger, like, you know, what's the deal? Like, why would you, resort to this?
If someone can like give that to him, would probably be the best thing for our family, so that we can, all put it behind us.
Back on October 23rd, 2006, around 11:45 p.m., it was just a normal, kind of cool fall night. People would have been outside, people would have been walking down the street, people would have been out and about. Somebody would have seen something, or surely somebody would have heard something. or even afterwards. Maybe somebody heard a rumor or word on the street, or heard about, somebody who shot a police officer.
Law enforcement has yet to bring someone to justice for the murder of Officer Thomas Wood. We need the public's help. We're offering a reward of up to $100,000 for information leading to the arrest of the person or persons responsible for the murder of Thomas Wood. We ask for the public's help, and we want to bring someone to justice for this crime. We will not stop. The FBI considers this a full-field, open investigation.
It's been like 8 years since still not finding the guy and not having that much of a trace on him. He's still out there. He could be still committing crimes.
And provide us anything you may have seen or heard so we can bring justice to the family of Officer Wood, his friends, and his colleagues.
The FBI will dedicate every resource available to bring the person responsible to justice for the murder of Officer Thomas Wood.
There's things from day one that is still on the internet that I look up all the time, and I just make sure that it's still out there.
We're still here. There's like a hole, right, in our lives. There's no closure.
They should already have enough guilt and blame on themselves.
People can telephone the FBI with information at 312-421-6700. If you want to remain anonymous, you can do that. The FBI prides itself on maintaining confidentiality for people that telephone with information. You can email the FBI at chicago@ic.fbi.gov with information relating to the murder of Officer Thomas Wood.
He was just so good, and they just took it from him.
How long do we have to live like that,
The cases featured on tonight's episode remain unsolved, and we need your help. If you have any information on tonight's episode or any of the cases featured on the show, please give the detectives a call. We need our communities to come together so we can take back our streets and make our neighborhoods safe again.